For the world premiere screening of The Souvenir in our World Cinema Dramatic competition. I want to thank you for coming out to support international cinema at Sundance. This is a banner year for us, and the film you're about to see is one of the reasons why. A few short words of thanks. I want to thank A24 for giving us the opportunity to launch the film here at Sundance. They're going to be releasing it later on this year, and hopefully lots of people will see it. I want to thank the British Film Institute, BBC Films, for always supporting such a diverse array of independent artists in the UK. Producer Luke Schiller and all of the cast and crew who were part of this film, many of whom are here today, including the lead actors, and of course, at the center, screenwriter, producer, and director, Joanna Hogg. I could say that I've been excited to introduce her here at Sundance since we screened this film in the fall, but actually I've been excited to introduce Joanna Hogg at Sundance for about a decade. It was in 2007 that I saw her first film, Unrelated, which is one of those discoveries that just completely revitalized your faith in movies. She went on to make two other really, really sublime films, Archipelago and Exhibition. All three of them saw some release here in the US, but Joanna's work is not as well known here as it should be. They are really distinct stories that stem from a very singular voice and sensibility. She has a way of making these incredibly elegant, understated films that are propelled by the micro dynamics between very complex, contradictory characters. So it's a real, real pleasure to introduce you all to the screenwriter and director of The Souvenir, Joanna Hogg.
Thank you, John, for your very kind words. I actually want to thank the Sundance Film Festival. This is my first time here, and it's really amazing. I'm really enjoying it. I want to thank A24. Everyone there is so nice. I want to thank two partners of the film who are very, very special to The Souvenir, continue to be. One is Garnett from BBC Films, head of BBC Films, and the other is Lizzie, Frankie, who sadly can't be here, from the British Film Institute. They are two women who have, it's hard to put into words, but they are incredibly semi-literate. They've been massively supportive of the film, and they're just a pleasure to spend time with, and I just can't thank you both enough. And Rose, I don't know where you are, but you're amazing. And then I'm going to be really brief. The last thing is I want to raise an imaginary glass of champagne to absent friends. This one's from the heart.
We have filmmaker Joanna Hogg and our two lead performers, Honor Swinton-Byrne and Tom Burke. Okay, Joanna, I would like to start with you because I know your process is very interesting. It was interesting to me. You're always writing from a set of personal experiences. This is the case here as well. You were a student in film school in the 1980s. But there's also, at some point, has to be kind of the lure of fiction and the idea that these characters come to life. They're not you anymore. You're now dealing with the balance between your personal experiences and the fiction you're creating. So I'm wondering if you could kind of talk about that within the context of this film and how that evolved.
Okay, I'll sort of try and give a brief answer because it's a complicated thing and sort of in a way not a straight line. But I guess in broad brushstrokes, I start with what I perceive as the real experience that I had, and I sort of go as deep as I can with that, and that can take many months actually. I mean, even years, because I think I first started thinking about this story in about 1988, a long time ago. So I dig very deep for a long time, and then there's a certain point where it's not even a kind of big decision moment, but I start to be really interested in twisting a little bit my experience, and then I start to have fun with that, and I'm in a strange way, even though I'm sort of digging very deep and I want to get to some kind of personal truth. I'm very open to other ideas, and then that extends to the casting. I mean, the casting is really the point where I let go, in a sense. I haven't made the film, but I kind of let go, and I cast Tom first, The Souvenir, and then Honor came in quite late on, because I saw many other people, actors and non-actors, for the part of Julie, and then Honor I found very, very late on. So that's the answer to that.
Can you say what it was that struck you about Honor when you saw her? What was it that you thought she was right?
It was something she said. I'm not really going to repeat the detail, but it was really something she expressed about her own experience of being a young woman, and I just something flashed. I thought, yes, she's Julie. She's a version of Julie, and then it took a while. I sort of was quite delicate. I didn't want to just throw the idea at Honor, so I thought about it quite a bit before asking her, and because it was Honor's first experience on the screen, on any screen, doing any acting. So, and I liked the fact that she hadn't done it.
It's an incredible performance for first of all, but can you talk a little bit about what it was that sort of intrigued you or perhaps perplexed you at first about Julie, and then how you worked with Joanna to kind of discover her?
Well, I wasn't given a lot about Julie to begin with, and I feel like I got to know her throughout shooting. I feel like I had a very bare bones to begin with, and then yeah, as we shot, I got to know her. I'm excited to get to know her more in part 2. So yeah, I kind of was still getting to know her. But I was struck by how many similarities we had. Yeah, I could relate a lot to how she was feeling about herself and life and creativity.
So maybe for both of you, because when you say you weren't given much, Joanna, you mentioned earlier, you actually didn't give her a script or too much of a sense of the story. So then what is that actual process in which you're giving her what she needs to discover that character?
I couldn't say too on that, but I gave her some very personal artifacts from my past. So I gave her diaries from the early 1980s, and she saw some of my early films, and notes, and yes, all sorts of things, some of the scripts that I was writing, yeah.
Well, yes, we had lots of conversations, and the artifacts really helped because it helped get me get a grasp of what I was, the person I was going to be meeting, really, myself, and yeah, exactly what you said, really enjoyed it as well.
And she was very brave in not seeing anything written down in the form of a script. So each day we're shooting in story order, she's discovering the story, so she's reacting to everything in the moment, which is an incredible thing that you do.
Tom, you had the privilege of having a script for at least on indication.
Yeah, I thought I had the entire master plan, but actually months after we finished, an actor came up to me and said, "Oh, I'm in The Souvenir." And I said, "Who'd you play?" He said, "I play Honor's other boyfriend." And I hadn't had that scene. It was interesting that that had been removed, although I don't think Joanna remembers removing it. So maybe yeah.
Well, I take it your process is a little bit different. Could you talk a little bit about what it was and what it was that allowed you to sort of understand who you were?
Well, I had lots of chats with Joanna, and she was incredibly generous with all sorts of letters and drawings from the man that Anthony is based on, and it really allowed me to. I really fell in love with that character, and I think that's the only way to play somebody like that, is you have to celebrate them in their entirety. So you celebrate every part of them, and I couldn't have done that without the sort of endless generosity of Joanna's, and she's arrived every day with a new letter and a new drawing, a new box of stuff, and that just meant that there was always, I just always felt full, because improvising is a kind of, you have to be very disciplined on one hand, and on the other hand you have to have a total spirit of abandon.
How did that work between the two of you, especially when you found yourself in uncharted territory? Yeah. Honor and Tom.
Well, I met Tom in the scene, and I'd never met him before, which was amazing. I was really, really happy to, because, I don't know, I really enjoyed the way we did it. What you're watching is me experiencing it for the very first time, which I loved. It was challenging, but I really loved it. And when I met Tom in the scene, I don't know about you, but I had such a click with you, and we had such a bond, and I was really grateful for that. So the way it was done was really elegant. I think I really enjoyed it. It was perfect for the story, I think.
It's funny to hear the word elegant when I was kept in quite a depressing looking portrait cabin that day, so that one wouldn't see me before starting.
I was in the green room. I had
he was in the green room with a sofa. I had like an office chair.
Joanna, I think this is for you, but maybe it could be for anybody. There's a moment that I love, well, there's a lot of moments I love this one, but one of them is, there's a moment that I find very subtle, that in which Julie's kind of creative authority on the set is very subtly undermined. And to me it encapsulates, I think, the theme that goes throughout this, which is, sort of these ways that we experience patriarchy or male privilege. I just wonder, to what degree, you found that not only in the storyline around the film school, but also other parts. How much of that was a conscious theme? How much of it was discovered gradually throughout?
Well, that came, not specifically what happened in that scene, but I've had those situations, especially with cameramen, actually, male cameramen, they are cameramen. And I had it at film school with that same project, because actually the projects that Honor makes are based on projects that I did at film school. So I made the film dress, or I attempted to, I didn't finish it. And I had a bit of difficulty with the cameraman on it. It was quite undermining, and he didn't say exactly the same things as the character did in the film. But and then I found, funny enough, I found more in television than in film that attitude. And I had one horrible experience on a TV series set on the Isle of Wight, where you're kind of stuck on this island, and it's just, I'm surprised. In fact, it's funny, I thought about it a couple of days ago, because it surprises me that after that experience, with this, again, there's a camera operator actually, and it was very upsetting and very difficult, and it surprises me that I managed to keep on going, actually. Because sometimes you think, do I really want to deal with this in my life?
The zeitgeist of the 80s is very much a part of this film, music and art and politics, which must have been very formative for you at that time, but then now, looking back at it, it's amazing. It's not nostalgic in this, but you're really actually exploring what it means to you. Do you have a sense now of like what, I guess, the personal legacy of the 80s was for you in terms of art and culture?
Well, I just look back on it as an incredibly creative time. Although I was trying to find out who I was, and I had a lot of things, ups and downs. I think of it as very alive and very colourful somehow, and just a lot going on, and a lot of ideas that didn't come to fruition, and just generally culturally a very exciting, stimulating time, despite Thatcher and all the riots and all the things going on in that time. It was very, very exciting and stimulating. And in some ways there's some elements of now that remind me of them then. But it was there was also a kind of innocence about it as well. And so I actually feel I try and avoid nostalgia in my films, but I feel very nostalgic about it. And there's been something very powerful about going back on a journey to looking at who I was and what was going on, and it's an extraordinary thing, and we're still in the middle of the journey, which is incredibly exciting.
Well, so that's a good segue to kind of almost the last question. But I'm just wondering if you can, each of you, sort of say what it is that you look forward to exploring as the story continues?
Only two of us.
Only two of us, I know, sorry. I was looking at the two of
Oh, okay. Oh wow. What we look forward to? Well, I feel it's not even looking forward at this point. I feel right in, and it's different for Anna, but I feel right in the middle of the process. So we're here. This is slightly an unreal experience, but what I'm doing every day is writing in my notebook and developing the second part. And so the second one opens out, and maybe it's going to be a little bit more flamboyant in a way. And I'm just really excited about being in this 80s world and thinking about a young filmmaker and a young filmmaker finding a voice.
I just can't wait to continue with this. I loved it more than I can express. And I'm so grateful and so aware of what a wonderful, wonderful director and best friends. And I'm so grateful and happy. And I just can't wait to continue with it. And I hope the shoot is longer. 6 months longer. But I just loved it. I thought it was wonderful. And I can't wait to continue and discover more and gather more experience and, knowledge and excitement. So, yes, I can't wait to continue.
Joanna, it's not a particularly profound last question, but I think everybody probably wants to know what's on your t-shirt.
Okay, it's I don't know if any of you heard the end credit music, because obviously there's a lot going on, but it's sorry, there we go. It's Anna Calvi who wrote that piece of music at the end of the film, and this is the only clue you're going to get to part 2, but she is more involved in part 2, and I'm just super excited about her. And this is her current album, Hunter, and she's been on tour with this album, and listen to it. She's amazing.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming.